Hello, YouTube. This is Piss or Moan, depending on which one we're going with today. But, well, today I'm definitely pissed. So let's start. I'm not sure how much it's out there yet, but it was recently announced that the the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett, specifically the Watch series involved in the Discworld setting, is being adapted into a television show for BBC America. And I've been a fan of Pratchett for, well, honestly, it hasn't been very long, maybe 3 or 4 years, but I've gone through the Watch books multiple times, definitely in the double digits in under 4 years. I absolutely love the series and the message it sends, but just about everything announced in this adaptation of the show has made me decidedly angry. So I wanted to bring up a few points and show how they contradict, pretty much, not so much that they contradict the very message of the books, but they are setting themselves up for changes that didn't need to happen because it's stuff already included in the source material. So they're making a lot of changes. So here, let me read part of the article for you. That the article is from Deadline.com. It came out 2 days ago now, and I want to here's part of it that really started to bug me. Set in the fictional world of Ankh-Morpork, where crime has been legalized, The Watch is a punk rock drama. The series centers on a group of misfit cops as they rise from decades of helplessness to save the corrupt city from catastrophe. To stop for a minute here, I want to address a city where crime has been legalized. That's not an accurate description of the setting in the books. Crime is not legal in Ankh-Morpork. Crime is organized and out of control. You can't murder someone, but crime is high. It's not legalized. It's a misrepresentation of what the setting is. And stuff like this worries me. It could mean nothing. This is a journalist probably taking the notes of somebody who is reading it out to him, but that seems like crime being legalized is a very inaccurate description of how Ankh-Morpork works in the books. The next sentence, The Watch is a punk rock drama. I have no idea what that means. It's a nice buzzword, I suppose. Punk rock drama. I'm trying to mentally fit what I picture as punk rock along the image of the series in my head, and it doesn't really fit. I'd call it more of a working man's drama. It's depending on how picky you want to get with your word. It's the working person's drama. These are people who are trying to make their way in life, maybe with a bit more passion in their job than the everyday person. It's very interesting to refer to this as a punk rock drama. That's an odd phrase. And again, this could be the journalist, once again, summarizing in a strange way. But it's still something that pops up and says, whoa, that's an interesting choice of words. Next sentence, the series centers on a group of misfit cops as they rise up from decades of helplessness to stave their corrupt city from catastrophe, which to me is another vast misrepresentation of the series. It's the premise to me was always more of we're doing our job whether you like it or not. They're not there to be heroes. They're there to uphold the law. It's all about the legal boundaries they have to deal with and lines that have been stepped and even lines that have been blurred. It's not a corrupt city that needs to be saved from catastrophe. They even recognize in the books that the city works as it is. The trick is to prevent. It's to keep it going as is. They aren't trying to turn the city around. Saving a corrupt city from catastrophe. Actually, that the only context I can see that making sense in is the first book in the series centers around the Watch having to fight a dragon that sets itself as ruler of the city after being summoned by corrupt officials, but that the corrupt city from catastrophe, they seem to imply that the catastrophe is the corruption in the city, which it never really is in the book. It's well known that the city is corrupt in full, and honestly, a terrible place to live, but it all works, and people keep coming, and they like it there. So, if this is the tagline for the show, this paragraph here, it sets a very strange image for what I see, compared to what I see as the Ankh-Morpork Night Watch series. So up next is the paragraph describing the characters as they appear in the show, and I want to discuss some of this because it has me very, very worried for the direction they're taking the show in terms of its in terms of the source material itself. Here I'll read it all out and then I'll go through piece by piece again. Eaton Kent plays Constable Cheery or Sherry, depending on which pronunciation you're going with. Cheery is the one typically used in the audiobooks, so I will be sticking with Cheery. Eaton Kent plays Constable Cheery, the ingenious, non-binary forensics expert, ostracized by their kin and finding a new home and identity. Hugh Gill plays Constable Carrot, the idealistic new recruit, raised by dwarves, but really a human abandoned at birth. Corlett is the mysterious Corporal Angua, who is tasked with Carrot's training and keeping the rookie alive. Rossi plays Lady Sybil Ramkin, last scion of Ankh-Morpork's nobility, who is trying to fix the city's wrongs with her chaotic vigilantism. Adewumi plays the wounded and wronged Carcer Dunn, out to hijack destiny itself, take control of the city, and exact a terrible revenge on an unjust reality. And most people who read the books will see this paragraph and not recognize any of the descriptions of these characters here. So from the top, you've got Eaton Kent, who plays Constable Cheery, the ingenious non-binary forensics expert, ostracized by their kin and finding a new home and identity. in the books, Constable Cheery is a female dwarf, and this is important. There are a lot of gender issues that are already addressed in a subtle and rather ingenious way in the books that they could have left as is and have the same message that I think they're trying to push across with the non-binary aspect here. They have Joe Eden Kent is the person. I've looked them up. They are a non-binary actor, which I think is a good choice, considering in the books the male and female dwarves are supposed to be specifically. You aren't supposed to be able to tell their gender unless they tell you. But my problem here is in the books, all dwarves are supposed to be male. They're not supposed to talk about gender. It's a fear of disclosing gender, which is the main topic of one of the books. It's the main purpose behind the race of dwarves in the world is that they are, we'll say, a dated sort of ideology in terms of gender. It's not that they view everyone is supposed to be male. There's, I believe one of the lines is there once nursing is done, there's no such thing as women's work for dwarves in society, and the character of Cheery Longbottom, or Littlebottom, Cheery Littlebottom, Longbottom is Tolkien and Rowling. Cheery Littlebottom is the first openly female dwarf I'm not sure if it's in the series or in the entirety of Discworld, but she's the most prominently first open female in dwarfdom, and that's her character. It's her breaking out of the defined gender roles and coming free, a way to express herself, and which I'm guessing is what they're going to go with for the non-binary forensics expert finding their new home and identity. The problem is she has her identity. She's always had it. It's a matter of expressing it. She knows she's a woman. She knows she wants to be a woman. It's not approved by dwarves, so she's had to hide it. And she's decided, no, she's not doing that anymore. I'm not... Again, this is a strangely worded sentence. This one seems to be saying she's looking for an identity, which Cheery Littlebottom in the books has an identity and always has, and has just gone about expressing it. The entire book is her slowly allowing herself to be more feminine in a society that views gender as something that should not be talked about at all. So the message I think they're trying to go for is already in there, but in order to push it for the more modern, they have to change it from female to non-binary, which really confuses me on how they're going to portray dwarves as a society in the show itself, because this is so... I don't think the dwarves would care if you choose not to have a gender. That's the point of their society in the book, is gender is not discussed. It's not a thing. The point is for Cheery to come out and display her femininity while retaining her dwarf heritage. And it's choosing when to do it and when not to do it. But the point is, it's her choice. They're going to have to change the structure of dwarves, as the dwarvish culture in the Discworld, in order to fit this message they seem to be putting across, which confuses the crap out of me. And again, the show's not out yet, and this could be reported or summarized poorly, but it's not coming across as understanding the source material they're adapting. And I'm going to get to more of that in a bit, because there's even more down here that I want to talk about. Next sentence. Hugh Gill plays Constable Carrot, the idealistic new recruit raised by dwarves, but really a human abandoned at birth. Yes, human is Constable. Yes, in the books, Carrot is a new recruit and a human raised by dwarves, but he was not abandoned at birth. His parents were murdered, and he was found. Being abandoned at birth gives a different twist to his character, because his character is the lost king of Ankh-Morpork. He's he's royalty, and he chooses not to be. Leaving him abandoned at birth kind of it hints that parents are still out there, and would destroy his character in that he might not currently be the one in line to rule the throne of Ankh-Morpork, because that's his character is he is the king. He qualifies to be king. He's morally on the up and up. He would be the perfect kind of king, but he chooses not to be because he doesn't think that's what the city needs. He thinks the city needs a well-maintained watch. He feels he can serve the city better as part of the watch than he can as a king. And that's his character. He's beloved by the people. He knows everyone. And again, they don't say which story they're adapting, because if they're trying, because they can't, if they're adapting the first one, you could get away with some of this for Carrot, but Cheery isn't in the first story, so there's already an issue there. It's so strange. Carrot is he's idealistic, but he's right. People do what he says. He's supposed to be the commanding presence that doesn't know he's a commanding presence, or at least acts like he doesn't know. He expects people to be the best they can be, and based on that expectation alone, they will be in his presence. He's supposed to be an inspiration, like a beacon of light in the darkness. He's supposed to be a moral ideal for people to strive to. It's interesting because it's supposed to be his dynamic with Sam Vimes, that Sam Vimes being the head of the watch, that inspires him. The dynamic is he holds Sam Vimes in the highest of honor, and Sam Vimes doesn't like himself so much. Carrot is how's the best way to put this? Carrot's he doesn't worship Sam. Well, he almost worships Sam Vimes, but it's more out of respect. He doesn't emulate Sam Vimes because Sam Vimes is rough around the edges. The way it's described here is interesting. But there's more up ahead that makes me worry about this. So the next sentence is, Corlett is the mysterious Corporal Angua who is tasked with Carrot's training and keeping the rookie alive. And this is 100% a flip on the head of the books. Because in the books, Carrot trains Angua. Angua is a diversity hire by the Watch, and Carrot is tasked with training the new recruit. Well, helping to train the new recruits. He's personally assigned to her, and they've decided to take Angua and make her part of the Watch, and have Carrot training her and trying to keep the rookie alive. That doesn't make much. It doesn't fit the story. Carrot is, again, Carrot's basically supposed to be almost perfect. He can fight and beat just about anyone, and he's supposed to be a beacon with blind spots, because in one of the books they cover a lot of his built-in prejudices. He has prejudices against it was golems in the book, where he's not a fan of golems. He's not a fan of the undead, and it's a matter of subtlety. It's reflecting prejudices in the world that exist and the ridiculous reasons they exist, and it's about the young, not the younger. It's about the outside looking in at the establishment and trying to change the establishment. And having Corporal Angua being the teacher, it changes the power dynamic enough that the subtlety will be lost. Because I'm guessing the way this is described is Angua will be beating Carrot over the head with these messages in typical Hollywood subtlety for message delivery. There is no subtlety in Hollywood these days. They don't know how to not beat you over the head with something. And that's basically that's what this whole summary is saying to me, is that they are taking modern Hollywood lack of understanding and trying and shoving it down your throat through a new medium. Yeah. All right, next sentence. Rossi plays Lady Sybil Rankin, last scion of Ankh-Mor Pork nobility, who's trying to fix the city's wrongs with her chaotic vigilantism. This is just so wrong on so many levels that I'm not sure where to start. Again, it would help if I had any idea which story they were trying to adapt, if they're going to build the relationships, or if they're just going to start with everything established. Lady Sybil Rankin in the books is married to Watch Officer Sam Vimes, and she becomes married to Sam Vimes after they meet in the first book, and their relationship is a clash of cultures, is the point in the books. She is she's nobility. She's nobility, and Sam Vimes is gutter trash. He's been poor all his life. Um, he's been poor all of his life, and he and Sybil fall in love and get married. Um, sort of starting it's it's not a typical story of saving the damsel in distress, because Sybil's never really a damsel in distress. She can hold her own. She's the politician. She's the politician in the relationship. And calling her the last scion of nobility in Ankh-Morpork makes no sense. Ankh-Morpork is full of nobility. They are one of the main antagonists throughout the series. They stir up trouble. The issue is she's supposed to be the one good one. She's supposed to rise to prominence, and so it's one of the best marriages in fiction, and it's annoying to see the way they describe it here. The trying to fix the city's wrongs with chaotic vigilantism. It's such a destruction of her character in the books that it makes me very angry. The vigilantism part of this makes me think they're going to try and sow chaos in the relationship between Vimes and Sybil, which is frustrating as hell because we do not have nearly enough happy marriages portrayed in media. The people absolutely love to shove in relationship drama because maybe it sells, but it really bugs me that we can't see a husband and wife, or we can't see happy relationships. There always has to be relationship strife, and I'm worried that that's what this is setting up, the chaotic vigilantism. And she's never a vigilante at any point in the book series. She is a politician, and how do I describe her? She's the voice that gives Sam power. No, that's not. She's her own character. She does her own thing. She is her own person in the books. She head of the safe haven for dragons. Dragons in this world being portrayed as small, almost dog-like creatures that can barely survive on their own without human intervention. She cares for small animals. She doesn't live big. The book Men at Arms describe her as Sybil Ramkin is so rich that she can afford to be poor. She lives in a large house with 54 rooms and lives in 3 of them. She's supposed to be a different form of nobility than a typical image of nobility. Or that you or I would have nobility come to our head. She's humble. But she has power. So, she's not some sort of arm decoration. She does a lot of stuff in the books that's related to who she is as a person, and making her a vigilante sounds so ridiculously stupid compared to what she can actually do in the books that is legal and not counter to... I'm 99% sure they're going to try and make her a vigilante just so she and Vimes can fight over something and have some sort of star-crossed romance that will make for a rough marriage that they have to fight about all the time. Why make her a vigilante? She was perfect as she was. Sybil is one of my favorite characters in the book. uh, she knows. I'm not really sure how to describe it without reading out specific passages. Uh, she saves everybody's lives in one of the books by singing a song. Her historical knowledge is amazing. She has a lot of political pull in the city. She's the one. She's admired by the ruler of the city. In terms of, in terms of her morals and power, or not. I don't want to say power because it's not her power that is admired. It's who she is as a person. She is a strong, well-written female character as she is, without changes to make her a vigilante for the city. I don't know why they feel like they need to make these changes. Last sentence. This should be pretty brief because it's about Carcer. But Adewumi is the wounded and wronged Carcer Dun, out to hijack destiny itself, take control of the city, and exact a terrible revenge on an unjust reality. In the books, Carcer doesn't have a last name. It's just Carcer. They don't know who he is. He is just a murderer. He is a guy who lives without the rules. He's not some sort of overarching evil villain. He is just a particularly evil person. The books describe him as the inverted Sam Vimes. But someone who has decided that the rules of society don't need to apply to him, so he can stab someone for a $2 watch. And then act innocent and get away with crime. Trying to hijack destiny itself makes no sense. He's just doing what he does in the books. He wants to make money, so he'll stab someone and steal their watch. If he can twist himself in a position of power where he can bully other people, he will. He's not out for revenge. He doesn't resent reality or anything. He's just an evil guy. There's no big evil villain potential for him. God, the book he's in is The Night Watch. It's my favorite in the series, and he kind of represents a society without rules. He's not some evil mastermind, as this sentence seems to describe him. God. And unrelated, but whenever I pictured Carcer in the books, he was always played by Andy Serkis. I think Andy Serkis in Black Panther, Andy Serkis puts on a performance that's very similar to how I picture Carcer would be in an adaptation of Night Watch. So that's where I was at in my head. I don't know anything about Adewumi, but and I have nothing against them. I'm just taking a lot of issues with how this is being summed up in this article. All right, there's another part down here I wanted to read. Here we go. Barnett said, "The Watch will be a very BBC America show. As with Killing Eve, we don't go straight at an adaptation. We blur genres, undercut with humor, and hire the most genius writers and actors to create stories and characters that are both entertaining and very contemporary, that say something new. Richard Dormer will kill it as Sam Vimes, not your everyday male anti-hero. Simon Allen and Rob Wilkins will approach the adaptation with the kind of iconoclastic energy and open-hearted love that will truly honor the indelible legacy of Sir Terry. So I wanted to specifically address the lines blur genres and undercut with humor, because needing to put these lines in this article tells me that they don't understand Pratchett's books, because he already does this. They're saying that they don't go straight at the adaptations. They blur genres and undercut with humor. Pratchett has already blurred genres and undercutting humor. His books are a satire. The Night Watch specifically is satire of Les Miserables and the story of the Revolution in there. Blurring genres makes no sense for an already blurred genre series. I'm confused at what they mean here. Why even put this in? Not going straight at an adaptation tells me that they don't care about the source material. What they want is a platform that already has a name that they can sell their message on. They don't care about where it comes from. They care that people know what it is beforehand and can sell them on it with their new product. It's annoying. It's annoying as hell. Hollywood keeps doing this. With all the reboots and reimaginings that go on these days, they're not interested in adapting. They're interested in sending a message with images people recognize. And it pisses me off. Undercutting with humor. The reason I enjoy Pratchett so much, the reason I went for more than one book, is I was laughing basically every page with my first Pratchett book. I started with Snuff. I know, an odd place to start, but it was the first one available on my audiobook app, my library app. I was laughing basically nonstop. His humor is so different. He knows how to tonally balance too. The humor is there. It fits in. He keeps it from getting too dark until it needs to get dark. He does not undercut the serious moments with humor. Once the stage is set, once the characters are being serious, the book is serious. The undercutting with humor, in my personal opinion, is one of the main problems in current Hollywood, is trying to throw humor absolutely everywhere to try and, I don't know, pull in a wider audience. Current Hollywood struggles with letting heavy emotions sit. They don't let you think about anything. They have to undercut it with a joke. One of the bigger examples I can think of is Guardians of the Galaxy 2 has the scene where Ego is revealing to Peter Quill that he killed his mother. And Peter Quill gets angry and shoots him in the face, and you're all very tense, and then Peter Quill's like, "You killed my mother," and then Ego, it turns into David Hasselhoff, and the tension is all dropped from the scene. It's roll your eyes humor. It's why it takes you out of what you're watching. You remember that you are watching a movie and not living these moments with these characters. And it's destructive. there seems to be a tendency to try and gather a wide audience rather than getting your own audience and cultivating it and letting them spread it for you. It's really frustrating that they're trying to make everything appeal to everyone, because it never works. Nothing ever appeals to everyone. You blend it down into a gray paste that no one is all that doesn't say much and doesn't break any new ground. It's all the same message trying to appeal to the most people you can at the time. And the common phrase on the internet is get woke, go broke. And I don't know if I would condemn the show that early for that, but there's a lot of red flags showing up that don't need to be here, that are so far removed from the source material that make me wonder why they even bothered adapting something rather than creating a new original IP. It seems to be some sort of leper to try and touch new material, and I think it's destructive to the entertainment business as a whole. Last paragraph here is Alan said that Sir Terry Pratchett is in the bloodstream of popular culture. He has a distinctly British kind of literary heart and humor, but his ideals are defiantly, that might supposed to be definitely, human and universal. It's been such a privilege to work with our world-class director, producers, writers on building a TV show that honors his legacy while striking out on its own in his name and spirit. Striking out on your own with someone else's material used to be called plagiarism. I'm not really sure why this is allowed. Like the man whose genius inspired it, The Watch is a hopeful show that believes it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness, which is a quote from the book. I suppose in a way that does capture the message of the books. I can't wait for everyone to see our joyously brilliant cast light candles and, of course, flamethrowers. And reference to flamethrowers is a little confusing because they exist in exactly one book. Or is it just one? It's been a month or two since I last did the books. As far as I know, the flamethrowers are not a big thing in the series. So, I don't know. Maybe this sentence I'm reading too much into. But problem is there's a lot here that has me worried. And I think they've killed the show before it's even started. So, I don't know what to think. But everything they've told me leads me to believe that they've already killed the Watch. I suppose if I had any words of wisdom for my audience, right now it would be to go out and make your own thing. Don't adapt something if you can't adapt the heart that started it. Have a good week, YouTube.